Yeah, you have a baby one? Wow, that's the first time you've taken a hit before we started.
I've never been impaired doing the Tell No Lies
No, you have
podcast.
one time. There was one time that you smoked and then you smoked a little too much. I think it was like one of our first
Oh
couple
yeah, and I
ones.
was like, I'm never doing that again.
Yeah, but you've never like smoked, just like took a hit
There we go.
unannounced like that. I was just thinking you've changed outfits every time that we've had a podcast. Have you felt like you have to go buy more? Because remember when we first started, you're like, I'm excited, like I get to buy all these outfits and all that other stuff. But I haven't really heard you talk about buying new outfits. So are these in the closet?
Yeah, I
Just
haven't
already?
used them up yet.
Just already in the well, no, but some of those first ones that you wore, those were from the Shein or whatever.
Shein, yeah, sponsor me.
You
Yeah.
said that like
No,
in the
they
first couple episodes.
They still are. I bought like
Oh, so you're still going
I'm
through
still going
those?
through them. I think I got like 20 some outfits, and we've recorded less than 20 episodes.
Yeah, this.
But I'm also like savvy with my mix and matchy. Like some of the stuff I did have.
Yeah, see, I wear the same clothes like on a consistent basis where
You
I
wear
wash
your
them.
pajamas.
It's just comfy this
Show up
way.
for the job that you want, not the one you have.
Yeah, they only see so much of this, so it's like
Yeah.
So anyways, guys, thank you for joining another episode of the Tell No Lies podcast. I am your fabulous host, Devin Physique, alongside the lovely co-host, Dr. Ashley Condorno.
Hello, good afternoon.
And
good
today
morning.
we are talking about transactional.
Sex.
I feel like this podcast is just really sex oriented.
I mean, that's what we go back to as humans, right?
What, sex?
Yeah, always.
When all else fails, just fuck.
Talk about sex, right? Relationship, sex, love, all that.
Sex, love,
I'm going to admit something on the internet that I didn't think I was going to admit yet again.
which is
I have a hooker.
wow.
Whoa!
Talk about living your best fucking life. She's living it.
You could call him a hee-ho. You could call him an escort. You could call him a prostitute.
Well, you called him a hooker.
You can call him a hooker.
What? Yeah. What's the difference between a hooker and like an escort and what was the other term you just said?
Prostitute.
Prostitute. Like, I guess hooker and prostitute. What would be the
An
distinct-
escort is more like an elegant term to describe.
a prostitute?
Yeah, but I guess that one has a little bit more rooted in companionship.
What
That one
does?
is more rooted in companionship.
Which
rather.
one?
An escort. Like an escort would be more likely to go on a date with you or something like that.
Well, I think it's levels, right? Like I would say prostitution, even though they're all forms of it, like calling yourself a hooker is like the fucking low.
But we might get called out. There might be clear and definitive differences between a prostitute, a hooker, and an escort that we are
Well, I would
overlooking.
attribute it to like, okay, I don't know why this pops up, but like on my Instagram, Phoenix like bums and Phoenix prostitution. I don't know if that's because it's really popular over there for both of them, but it pops up. And so when I think of like a prostitute that calls herself that or a hooker or what, I saw someone say that she's a 304. That's
I've
that's a
seen that
term
too.
for like
Someone said that
a
about
hoe.
me.
304 is a
Yeah.
hoe, but like if
Or
someone's
I think
calling
it's 403.
40, no, I think it's 304.
I don't know.
I don't know. We'll have to go back on that. But when I think of someone that calls himself a hooker or a prostitute, I'm thinking like on the streets, like you're driving by and
Yeah,
some
it's
girls
just basically
in a
transactional for sex.
Yes, where an
Yeah.
escort to me, because I do have friends that are that way, it's definitely like baller status.
Okay, well, technically he's an escort.
Yeah.
I found him on an
You're
escorting
not gonna,
website.
yeah, you're not gonna see him on the fucking streets hoping he gets some pussy or dick.
You might. You might. I found him on an escort website, and I'm at the point in my life. So we're talking about transactional sex, right? I'm at a point where I would rather have a transaction that leads to great fucking sex than a dude that's like,
Okay,
I'm gonna
okay.
rock your world.
Okay, but let's talk about that aspect of it, because if it's transactional, how do you know that you're going to get that outcome? Because even with this
Well,
guy,
you don't, but the chances are much likelier than
If
a guy that tells me to literally buckle up, buttercup, because you're in for the night of your life. Motherfucker couldn't keep his dick hard. The night of my life?
so
The night of my life?
well, maybe it was the night of his.
It probably was, apparently.
That's why he wanted you to buckle up, because it was going to be his night to come all over in 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Okay, but even that, okay, so, but that's a circumstance in which you only know that because he didn't perform. So this guy that you're paying essentially or whatever, this guy is expert in this field of maybe sexual interactions, but how do you know that your first time with him isn't going to be very similar to the other ones?
I mean,
and he's not over promising and under delivering as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's not what we got for the outcome, which is great, because obviously the other one you're building a connection potentially, and this one is 100% more transactional. So they're both transactional, but how do you don't think that when you go into them, it's like, okay, for instance, for you, like you obviously paid for this guy's time.
Yeah.
Does it feel different
Yeah.
paying for someone's time?
Yeah.
And how do you feel about that? Is it important that the outcome is what you paid for?
Okay, let me describe. So there's kind of multi-layers with it. I was like, I am never telling a single motherfucking soul in the entire universe that this is happening. It is between me, this man, and whatever spirit you believe in. You know what I'm saying?
Who'd you end up telling the first two?
Not you.
It's okay.
Remember?
No, I'm just asking you.
I felt guilty.
She said, ew.
I still feel bad
Who
about
did
that.
you tell first?
I told probably Lindsay, my friend Lindsay.
Yeah, but that's fair. I mean, we've only got close of recent, and I'm also a guy, so
Yeah.
you still did tell me.
But I
was
did.
in that little small realm of people that knew.
Yeah. So I only told a handful of people at first, but honestly, like every single person's reception that I told was like, damn, that's cool. Like, good for fucking you. Like, you're getting your needs met. You're doing what you want. Like, we made sure there's testing, like all of the protocols, right? And like, honestly, as you've stated before, people who are in the sex work industry are usually way more caring about their sexual health and being tested than just a regular person that you would meet and go fuck.
Mm-hmm.
So I just like, it turned into this thing where I had like a little bit of shame about it, but I was like still really excited about it because I'm fulfilling things that I want.
What was the shame?
Just like you're paying for sex.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I guess, before you go into the whole aspect, I would look at it from you're going for free with somebody that you're trying to connect with, and then the outcome is not what you want. So it's kind of similar to a circumstance of like, how does this guy make $1 million? Well, if I pay him, he's going to show me how he does it, right? Well, this guy is telling me, but it's free. So if I don't get the outcome, yeah, it's free, but then I just wasted my time. Whereas this guy, he's advertising. He should know what the fuck he's talking about because he is one, which means he gets paid for it consistently. So why not just pay for something that I'm genuinely looking for
Right.
and getting the results from it?
that's where I'm at because I have fantasies that I want to explore. So we started with happy ending massage, which I know a lot of you ladies out there, that's probably your fantasy. And let me tell you,
Can we elaborate on what is a happy ending
was to die
massage from a man?
sure. So I guess it could be multiple ways, but we agreed beforehand with the price and what was going to happen that it was no penetration with his penis. So he could like hands were game, mouth was game, whatever, but he wasn't going to get naked in any way. So he made me come like 9 times. And he also asked of the hour, how did I want it split? Like what amount of minutes were the massage and what amount of minutes were him playing with me? And at first I said 30-30 and I was like, no, make it 10-50 because
10-15 for the play?
10-50
Oh, 10
to
and
equal
50
60
play.
minutes. Yeah. But it was fantastic. And then we've progressed from there. I've hired him like 5 times. But I have fantasies that I want to explore as a woman. This man has a background in history in BDSM. He's a dom, and he's got a lot of exploration in that. So why not get exactly what I'm paying for? And like, yes, if I wasn't getting satisfaction for the amount of money that I'm spending on this man, I would not return in a heartbeat. But
Well, after the first one, you would have been done.
yeah.
Now, would you have explored another one, or do you think if your outcome the first time was
I probably would have tried it one more time.
just as maybe it was just the type of person?
Yeah.
Because anyone, even being in the field of OnlyFans and porn or whatever, like it's still a humanly nature thing to like, you interact with someone for the first time. It's new, it's exciting. How does he not fumble the bag? Maybe,
Right.
Maybe he came too soon. Well, I think it was good that he didn't do penetration and it was solely focused on you.
There's no way this man is coming quick. Like that's a big
No, but
problem.
I'm saying for that first instance,
Yeah.
there really wasn't a way from that first encounter that you had where it was going to end bad because penetration wasn't part of it. Past experiences, penetration has been a part of every sexual interaction you've had, and there's been more that have failed you than have been in the other circumstance. So this one, it was bound to start good.
penetration barring they can get appropriately erect to do
Yes,
so.
correct.
if we get to that point, then yeah. But no, it was fun. Like this, it is everything I've ever wanted. So we've explored a couple other times. I'm fulfilling my fantasies. I'm growing in my sexual endeavors, and this is all things I want to do. So it's worth it. There's like. So I feel empowered as opposed to shameful about it now. Anyone that I've told, and like, you know what? I just feel like there's a stigma around it, and it's like I'm being safe and I'm getting what I want. I feel like I'm doing it in a smarter way than just going and trying to look for something blindly. And I just like, I don't know. I feel like
What
it's
was
something.
what was the first thought process in an interaction like this that you know is being paid versus, let's say we took that out of the equation, did you feel any difference between the two,
It was
knowing that
easier
one was
because
paid and one wasn't?
yeah, it was easier because of the transactional nature. I will say the one part that's difficult for me about the transactional nature is like I kind of like this boy, so I want more, but like this ain't Pretty Woman. I know what this is. So we've had that talk, and he says that he likes me too. So like we do other things outside. We still are keeping it transactional, but like he might spend like more time with me, or we go out to eat, or we hang out the books once or twice or whatever. But otherwise, it is what it is, and I need to be realistic with that too. So that I think is the only hard part of me because I would like to like text and like flirt and build tension.
Okay, could you do that as a paid service?
Yeah, I'm sure. I still text him usually, like when he's coming over that day. I'll text him a couple times.
See, you know, if I was in your shoes, I would say, okay, what are boundaries that I need to set for myself personally? Because I know at the end of the day, this is what it is. And from a female standpoint, it's not hard to necessarily, you know, you're looking for that one thing, and then it just so happens that one thing was great, but you also got some other things like the conversing and the connecting, and as an emotional being, feeling like now you're going to gravitate towards that. But now the shitty part in that is you didn't find him in the wild. Well,
Yeah.
you did, you found him on the wild internet,
Yeah.
not in the wild, you know,
Yeah.
real life. So it's compartmentalizing that. So I think a big thing, if I was in your shoes, would say, okay, these are boundaries that I need to set for myself because for my own personal sanity, and not to allow this to extend into something more and then potentially get my heart broken from it, or put in these weird limbos. Like, was that a thought process for you when you first got into this? Like, I'm going to probably run into a situation where I might potentially have more of an interest for someone that isn't paid. And I like this guy. I want to hang out with him. And I don't want to pay him, you know, because I think we've had the conversation about it where you're like, man, I wish sometimes it's not a paid thing.
Yeah. Well, I didn't have that at first because I didn't think that there was ever going to be a possibility that I would like the person I'm hiring to have sex with me, you know, but it happened. So I do think I've evolved. I've just really come to accept, like, I understand what this is, and I think if I tried to make it something more, it might actually ruin what it is anyways. So just like I told him a couple times like I like him, and he told me vice versa, and I told him last time we interacted like I'm not telling you I like you anymore. We need to just keep this separate.
But even after your first interaction, he was showing a little bit of an interest that was extending outside of his work, and you were being more firm about that it shouldn't be. So obviously, you know, again, it goes back to what I said about our podcast prior, where you can still say whatever you want, but you're a female, and females are natural, emotional beings. So
I haven't liked any other guy
I
that
know,
I've
and
slept
look,
with.
and honest to God, let me tell you guys here, he is not her type. Okay, so you will never see her on the streets with this man. She will never be in a series. He could stop escorting.
He's my type.
No, he is not.
He's my type.
Bullshit.
Devin doesn't know my type.
I know your type. I've seen them all. I've seen them all.
Anyways.
Because this guy has never once been on your free encounters. So this one to me is kind of like that exotic, like I'm going to get, like I'd be on there and it would be like, boom, this guy's giving me exactly what I want. Like that's how I would resemble. I wouldn't take all this out of there and say to myself, you would be with that guy.
I'm changing.
Shut up.
Things are changing.
Mm-mm.
But it's been great. If y'all are wondering how it's going, it has been great.
Now, would you feel the desire to explore that option more with somebody else on there?
No.
Like that's enough now.
Well, like he does it for me, so I don't need to go find another.
Okay, but what about since we're talking on transactional, obviously this is even more so because it's a paid thing. So this one is like extremely transactional. The other ones, no one is paying to be there. You both are on your own time. So even if it leads to transactional there, it's completely different. But what about all the other ones that you've had randomly through that? Do you feel like with this transaction, also knowing that it does come with money, right? So if you want to see this guy 5 times a week, like you've been striving to find connection with, the shitty part.
I couldn't afford him.
Yeah, the shitty part is like you're finding a connection with someone that's paid, where we would want to find it the other way.
You were saying about boundaries. I've set that boundary in my head where like this is fun, and I keep the fun encapsulated in what we're doing, and that kind of starts and ends with that. And I'm not like pursuing things in my mind that I would like. It's just it is what it is, and
okay.
I'm at peace.
How often do you feel this need for it? Is it a sporadic thing?
So far, I've seen him once a month for 4 months. No, I saw him twice in 1 month. I started seeing him Memorial Day. Remember when I had that party at my house?
And it was okay.
He came over that
pretty
night.
much like right now it's about once a month.
Mm-hmm.
Now is that's obviously not enough to fulfill your exotic fucking
No.
desires to masturbate 20 times a day.
No.
So outside of this transactional thing, let's go into the transactional side of your normal aspect of things. Okay, you're getting this great transaction over here. It's not enough to fulfill
With him, I would feel fulfilled with once a week.
if it was just a normal person and you wouldn't need anyone else.
If it was with this dude, what he does for me, once a week, I'd be good.
Okay, so well, we're not there, obviously.
No.
So
Sponsor me.
so you're still on the prowl on the outside.
Yeah,
of it.
but also additionally, I think I mentioned a couple podcast episodes ago, and you were calling me out for changing my opinions at that time as well, that I'm ready for an emotional connection, not necessarily like a boyfriend, but an
I think
emotional
you've been changing so much, like over the last month alone. Like 1 minute you're telling me you might move, the next minute you're telling me you want a soft boyfriend, now you want a hard, whatever the fucking all these hops, like hard, soft, lightweight, heavyweight, not even 200 pounds.
You know what, Devin? I'm a woman at the end of the day.
You are a woman, and the woman's mind changes constantly.
But
so
you
do
know
her
what?
hormones.
As a human, you are entitled to change your mind every 5 minutes if you want.
So I've just listened, it took it in, thought to myself, it might be a podcast episode, but don't hold too heavy on the fact that this will probably simmer down and we will forget about it because we're on to like new topics, which is great because I feel like it allows us to have a lot of fresh material because there's a lot of freshness coming in and out of you. So
Touche, my friend.
figuratively and physically.
Touche, my friend.
So you're still on the prowl for the transactional with the normal person. Okay, so we obviously talk about the ventures of a transactional behavior like an escorting aspect of things, but what about the transactional side of where you're at with the normal dating?
Like, what do you mean in that way?
Like, do you feel you're fulfilled there? You're still on the prowess of looking for transactional specifically in that, because we've had other conversations on the other ones where you're kind of were up in the air where you still said you're looking for.
I haven't been looking, like, honestly, in like a month and a half, like since before I went to Texas. I haven't been like trying to look to date because I know I'm leaving for this big RV trip. In 2 days, I'm going away for a month. And don't worry, y'all. We pre-recorded our episode, so you ain't gonna miss a beat, okay? And so I haven't been trying to engage in anything because I know I'm leaving and I'm in a weird headspace about that. And I knew I was going on that trip to Texas. So it's like, oh, yeah, cool. You want to meet me? You could see me once, and then I'm gone for a month. So I haven't even been looking at anything like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, because you haven't seen that one guy that was the consistent one that wasn't good.
No, because I keep canceling on him, and I'm going to be done with him for good. It's especially now. I'm fucking ruined. That shit ain't good enough. That 5 minutes of whatever.
But I mean, your masturbation sessions aren't very long.
No, but that's different than having sex with a person. Okay, we are going down the rabbit hole of Ashley's sex too much. Let's talk about Devin's transactions. So you are doing transactional sex in a much different way in that you're selling your sex as well, but you're selling it to an audience that's not like, you're still selling sex, right? People are buying your sex. So how does that make you feel about yourself ever? Like, do you feel objectified?
Like when that people are watching me?
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Because I could go back to my younger years of being a kid and not having a lot of sex and exploring all these girls and options and yada yada yada, and you move from one to the next. All of that's transactional. I think I spent so much of that time in my early years of that I think I don't see it transactional because I'm making money. Like to me when I
But
think,
that is the definition of transactional, isn't it?
but I guess it's different when you're doing it with someone that you're making money with versus doing it, like for instance in your case, like if I had to go pay for it, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Like I just wouldn't fuck. That's just what it would come down to.
But your goal with sex is not pleasure.
No.
Right.
It's not. Because even when I'm working with someone, my goal isn't, oh my God, did she come?
It's not even about coming.
No,
right.
It's not.
My only goal with sex is as much pleasure as possible. So our goals are very different. I'm spending money to have good sex. You're having sex to make money.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I think the mindset's completely different. But I think I've had a lot of transactional sex that was just to have it. Like we've had discussions of you doing that, and it leads to nothing. Whether that's no emotional feeling to it. Maybe I feel not less than, but like maybe more desensitized over time. Because obviously, if I do this for work, it's going to desensitize you. I've worked with the hottest girls. I've worked with a lot of girls in general. So I don't think there's one girl now that I see that would like get me excited the way that I used to feel when I was a kid. Like when I was younger and I met a girl that I was interested in and we were about to have sex for the first time, I'm fucking nervous, right? There's a lot of emotions. It's been a long time that I've been in a scenario where I'm going into a sex situation where I'm nervous like
I
that.
want to know when the last time was.
The last time was my ex-fiance.
Really?
Was the last time.
The first time, but you weren't even doing
And that was-
OnlyFans then.
No, but that's what I'm saying. That's the last
So
time.
none of those OnlyFans girls that you hooked up
No,
with were you
because
nervous?
I'm a pro. I'm conditioned, and I just know what it is. I mean, not to say that with a new interaction with someone that there isn't tension built in, like making sure I perform properly, but that's a whole different type of nervousness. I'm not about the girl. It's about the whole scene in itself and performing. So because money's on the line. So I think two different mindsets versus, like, for instance, with yours, you can go into this interaction with someone paid or not, and they could still make you feel some type of way because you're there for them. Even if it's transactional, you're still there. The objective.
Oh, it felt way less pressure.
With the paid one?
Yeah. Because it was like we sat down and he was like, okay, let's talk about consent. Let's talk about exactly what you want, exactly what I want, and we're going to perform this. And I was like, yes. How can this get any better?
And so, again, with your mindset of you're looking for a specific return,
Right.
even from a free or paid one, because you're looking for something specific, the way he addressed you was exactly how you wanted to be addressed because it was about fulfilling the needs in which you were what you were paying for.
Yeah.
Versus if you're doing a transactional thing with somebody and, let's say it's in the younger years or even of current, like there could potentially be an interest that grows from there. So a lot of it more is an emotional based thing. So you're not going to sit there and go, okay, what's this and what's that?
Yeah, you're
and
hiding behind your veil of really who you are behind it. Right?
Yeah, so I think that you made a good point is the transaction in itself is completely different but that's another reason why I don't participate in transactional sex now unless it is making myself money because like I told you before, a boundary of mine was if I'm going to go into that nature of quote unquote transactional, the first time I venture there, it's going to be with someone that I felt some type of way about emotionally. And was putting my time and investment. That first one's still going to be transactional because you don't know that it's not going to not lead to anything or it is.
So you just mean like transactional because you don't know if you like each other yet, so you're trying to fuck together.
I think even when you first meet someone, that's still transactional that way until it leads into more.
I guess in your
because
your
if we met the first time in transactional and then it led to more, that first interaction we didn't know that it was going to lead to more.
But what if I already like you because we've been texting for a couple of days?
But how do you know that's reciprocated?
Well, then it's each individual's intent.
Well, I mean, if there's enough time that's passed, like with my ex, we were together, we hung out 5 times before I even kissed the girl. So I think at that point it didn't feel transactional because we've already invested so much of our time. But I think the new age now,
if you're going out, it's like the hookup or something.
Yeah,
it's
right
a
away.
fucking common
I would
goal.
say 90% of people that are in relationships now, they probably fucked the first time they met.
So, how do you feel? Because do you feel some type of way that in your life you don't desire to have sex at all because the sex that you have is for money?
Like I don't have a desire to do it in general.
Mm-hmm. Outside of filming sex tapes.
Well, first of all, I've never been a crazy sexual person to begin with, right? And I think I was having this conversation when we went to pool with the guy. He's like, really? He's like, I think you're like a sex addict. And I'm like, no, I'm the complete opposite. But I've always been that way. When I was younger, I didn't watch porn nearly as much as a normal person. If I felt those desires, I was like, I'll just go get it. So even in this sense with like the fact that I don't have an overwhelming desire to, that's why I think I thrive so much in this position. And because I've created the boundary of not doing it outside of that unless it means something, I don't feel like it ever causes any sort of feelings for me because I still have the desires to want to fuck sometimes. It's just not excessive. Like when I see yours and it's like 5 times, I'm like, you know what I'm saying? So I think for me, the biggest thing is the boundary. If I wasn't and I was still doing my younger years of hanging out with girls that I maybe wasn't interested in more than just the sex part, then I think that they'd all start to get conjoined and then it would probably be like where I would view it from that standpoint. But I do believe because I've set these really hard boundaries and I'm proud of myself for that, that when I do have that desire and when I do partake in it, because it's with somebody of significance, it always creates value for me. But I'm not interested in like, if I'm into somebody and it wasn't a OnlyFans person or whatever, and they're a normal person, I'm not going to say that I wouldn't fuck them, but I have to know that I'm interested in them. I've hung out with girls over the last year, and when I hung out with them, they just weren't my vibe and I didn't fuck them. But that in my younger years, I still would have done it.
Right.
You know, just I don't have that desire to anymore unless there's that connection because
That's so big of you, Devin.
I know.
So mature.
Eh, you made me lose my train of thought.
Sorry.
What was I going to say? And I think the big thing too is I've had so much sex filmed that it's not the same. So your interaction with this man that you paid for is not even close to how mine goes.
Right.
So I've been conditioned for almost 3 years now that I've done this to do this. And because I've stuck so hard about that boundary, it is really just this, where I think I told you, like, there was a minute where I kind of forgot what real sex was like because I hadn't found someone of interest and I was consistently focused on the work side. So I just wasn't performing real sex. And I think it takes doing it one time and filming with somebody the way that I do it to comprehend, what that really looks like. Or if you're in this, you obviously know because it's so completely different. I can film for an hour and keep going left and right because I've conditioned myself this way. I think that if I went to the normal sex, I probably would come quick because I'm more fixated in the moment. Here, I'm not fixated in any moment. I'm not interested. My interest in my brain isn't to connect with this person and to feel her and get all these emotions that maybe would have you get excited or all that. To me, it's an objective and it's a goal of what's the finish and are we accomplishing all the different angles and positions and all these other things. So because of the environment I create, I don't feel it's transactional. And I think that's why I told you, and I've told them on the other episodes about with the OnlyFans space, not just coming over, filming the video and being done, because then I would feel like it's 100% transactional. How do you get into that? Like with yours, the paid aspect, you did things prior to it to feel connected with this dude to get to that point. I think that's important too. Even in your instance, like you still were connected to this man. Let's take out the fact that you had such a great interaction with someone.
Yeah, we didn't
this.
start with just sex.
And not everyone's going to have that. Now, do you feel like if the void of the emotional connection you were building with this man was taken out, do you think the experience, like your first experience was a great one? You paid for something, you got exactly and if not more. But what if it wasn't that way? And what if you paid for that? The sex was great, but you didn't get the connection.
I would probably still do it because
you were the sex is the most
way
important.
This man makes me come is otherworldly. I didn't think that a human could do what has happened to me. So.
That's what you said about the cowboy. So I mean, I feel like
his sex.
I know,
that
but
was
I
the
feel
best
like
sex I had at the time.
Yeah, so it can keep leveling up.
The cowboy was just great sex because of like he just how manly and like fucking come here he was. It wasn't. I've never had orgasms like this. Period. Never even come close. Never even preached that I had some shit that went on the way that this went on. I don't even know how to describe it.
And this also goes back to what I said about the value of a man with experience and the value of a woman who's not experienced. A woman is going to want a man that's experienced, and he just validates that 100%.
But what if I was like, hey, I need you to do exactly this, and I'm going to fucking squirt all over you? Like, isn't that beneficial to know what I know that I like?
No, I'm just saying, like, he's an experienced man, so he knew what he needed to get done. Yeah. The other guy probably wasn't as experienced. It's subpar for you, and that's why he's not performing, which goes back to there's going to be some taboo things where a woman with a high body count is a whore, and a man with a high body count is exactly what you need to get fulfilled the way you need to get fulfilled. So I'm glad he did that for you because you've had a good first interaction. I'm just trying to gauge the transactional side of like you got all the things and then some.
Yeah.
You know, if some of those things were taken out of it, would it have changed the?
It would. Maybe I wouldn't see him as much as I have, but I would definitely still see him because it was that good. It is that good, for sure.
And it's gotten better because the first interaction you definitely you weren't like so gung ho about it. It was good. It was a great experience, but now it's getting better because he's also learning about you, and an experienced man is going to take the time to learn those things by nature, especially if he's coming back. And if his mindset's to make money too, he wants to make sure you keep wanting him to come back.
Yeah, the first time we had sex, it was like very almost vanilla, just like very gentle, normal, and then from there it's been crazier and crazier every single time.
Yeah, and I think an experienced person isn't going to just dive into it like aggressive. I wouldn't.
Right.
I would always
and there's liabilities of like he's fucking spanking me with shit and I'm bruised and all this and I call the cops. Like he needs to make sure I'm not crazy before he gets crazy taking me apart.
But how would that even work? Oh yes, that's such a weird loophole too because
there was no waivers involved in what we were doing.
No, and it's like, what are you gonna say? I hired an escort. Like
Yeah,
the cops gonna.
he's told me explicitly that he doesn't do the things that we do with everybody. It's like it's a comfort level trust thing.
Yeah, I mean, because I have a lot of girlfriends that are escorts too, and they're very like scripted, and there's so many things. You got to be careful, you know.
Hmm.
And even, especially as a woman, if you're traveling and doing all those things, a guy with a lot of money thinks he's empowered in some type of way. He's going to treat you some type of way.
Hmm.
So you definitely have to have those precautions ahead of time.
So we kind of talked about like how monetized this transactional world can impact dating, but so you and I are in unique positions with where you're in the industry, and I'm definitely okay with the industry, obviously, because I'm participating in it on some level. But like, I would say my worldview of this was so different, you know, post a couple years ago. Like, I would never have entertained some of the things that I'm interested in and open to doing now with dating different people and different lifestyles. But like, you don't put on your profiles that you are an OnlyFans creator because it is such a big deterrent. But like, what about people that just buy OnlyFans content that are trying to date? Do you feel like, has that ever come up with anybody you know or anything like that?
So you're talking about someone that doesn't do OnlyFans,
Right, like just a dude that subscribes to like 6 OnlyFans chicks pages. Like, does that affect
his relationships?
his relationships and or how they view women in order to date?
My assumption, and I obviously don't know, I've never even had really conversations with the men that are doing that, but I would assume they're not in relationships and they probably haven't been in one for a long time. Because I also ask myself like some of the questions that I get asked from these dudes that are subscribed to me. So they're obviously subscribed to other women. You know, there's dudes that are like, do these girls even run their page? And I'm like, no, it's a dude probably you're talking to. Like, you know, and it's like, do you really think she would take the time out of her day to talk to you? You know, and so I think that those guys are kind of in a different realm in itself, almost in a delusional state, that their best chance of ever having something similar to that is a fairy tale, which is getting it through, I'm talking to her, I'm engaging. So I wouldn't see a world where someone like yourself is going to date a man that is engaging and having all these subs with that. That's a red flag to me. Like, you obviously have a porn addiction. You know, it's one thing to be a creator. It's another thing to be the other one on the other side that's buying the content. So I would have, again, this is just my own personal opinion, but I would have a hard time believing that those dudes are in relationships in general. And if they are, they're probably in one that's not a fulfilling one sexually. So, you know, it's like a married man, right? Like, maybe something got stale in their relationship and they're no longer having sex anymore. And maybe she's older, they've gotten older, and it's just not the same. So what is a man going to do? He's going to go back to his fairy tale days, or back when I was young, you know, these are the hot chicks. So you have accessibility of going on and subscribing. So I think the demographic is either old, in the sense of they're married and they're doing the little secret, you know, subscribing type of thing, which I don't know if you would label that as cheating. Would you label that as cheating?
So old me would have, yes. New me, well.
So if we were together,
I get it, the scenario.
Okay.
I say yes and no. If you didn't tell me about it, yes. Old me, if you told me about it, I probably still wouldn't have been okay with it. New me, if we talked about it and we set boundaries and parameters on it, like how much you're spending and whatever, then I would be okay with it.
Now, how do you approach that as let's say as a male? Like, how does a male approach a situation like that confidently if he has this desire and it really doesn't have anything to do with you? It's just about whatever that might be. How do you approach a situation with your significant other to bring it up without feeling like maybe you're going to get shamed, or maybe they're going to break up with you, or, you know, whatever? Because I think that's where this topic becomes something that's hard to talk about too in general, and where cheating happens and all that, is how do you approach this? And coming from someone that was right out the gates, which most women are, to having this changed outlook on it, like, what do you think's the best way to approach it?
I would say that answer, the outcome, is predicated on the relationship that you have with your partner and how open you are to having those types of conversations
prior to having it.
Yeah. So like, if you know, I mean, a lot of people are just so closed-minded when it comes to different type of sexual scenarios that is not a traditional monogamous relationship, that the answer is automatically no. And I've never been so dead set on monogamy, but it's just the path that I've always been on.
So how do you bring it up then? It's our first time ever having this discussion. You know, I don't know what you're going to think. Maybe I thought to myself, you've been monogamous. That's your way.
Are you already doing it, or do you want to get into it?
Both. Let's
both scenarios.
Both scenarios.
Okay. So Ashley, I want to bring something up. I'm not trying to hide it to you from you, but I just need to let you know that there's something that I'm doing that I want to be transparent with you about. Okay, what is it? I subscribe to these two chicks OnlyFans. I really like them. We flirt, we do this, that, or the other. And I just want to see your level of comfort with it. And I would just want to know like who they are, how much money you spend, how often you talk to them, and then just say like, obviously it's a fantasy. You're never going to fucking meet them. Like you get to see their titties and their vagina. Like anyone that has access to the internet can see titties and vagina. It's not like it's something so coveted nowadays, you know what I mean? So I would just want to be a part of the conversation, and I would say, okay.
Would it make you feel like you weren't fulfilling him? Because
I would definitely ask the reasons why.
Because two things popped up to me in my head is one, 90% of women would not be okay with that.
No, they wouldn't.
They would think that that's cheating because you're opening the door. Most girls are insecure too, and they're thinking the worst in that sense. So they're thinking like, what if she takes him from her, even though she's an OnlyFans person? So I would say 90% of women that are watching our podcast, which we do know statistically, we have a lot of males.
Yes.
So if you're a woman on here, you need to bring more women to the channel because we don't have as many. But I would think that most, like when you're telling me this, like what you just said in my head, I'm like, he is fucking cheating. You know, like the way you brought like his scenario to the equation, I'm like, it is because he is looking at some other chick, like playing with herself, whatever. He's flirting with her, even though it's not her. And I would say,
but it's how you define cheating. I wouldn't define at this point in my life, what a relationship looks like to me is very different than what it used to. And I would be okay with something like that.
Why?
If it was in person, probably not. Like
I guess I also say to myself, does that open the door of like you gave him a little bit of leash? So does he think he can take more of the leash and continue to go with more because you open this little barrier right here where it's nothing.
Well, I would say before we got into a committed relationship, whether it was polyamorous, ethical non-monogamous, monogamous, whatever, we would have a conversation about our boundaries and what we deem as acceptable, not acceptable in dating each other. And I would hope at that time that this would come up. You know what I mean? Or shortly thereafter, like, hey, I didn't think about it, but this is something that, because I wouldn't expect someone to tell me that in like the talking phase,
Yeah. I mean, I think that any of these discussions, if they're happening super early, something's a little bit off unless you guys were already in a poly open relationship. If it starts monogamous and we're 3 weeks in and we're talking about this, we should have already talked about poly things from day one.
Yeah. And I think that it would be a harder sell for me, honestly, for them to want to start to do it than if it was something they were already doing before we met.
But how would you know if they were or not?
You said to bring up both scenarios. I'm like asking for permission of something I already do and bringing it up to you for the first time. If someone came to me and was like, Ashley, I have the desire to sign up for Stella's OnlyFans, like, and I signed up for OnlyFans like with Steven there. I'm like, you want to see what her titties look like? Yeah, see what her titties look like.
Yeah, but that's different. It's a girl.
Yeah. But
it's so different when it's from
but
those
I don't know. I think of OnlyFans as Fantasyland. Even I guess I'm thinking a little bit more about how I felt earlier. Like it's not something that I would be threatened by.
Yeah.
Because there's no way you're meeting this person in real life. It's Fantasyland that you're just spending money on. I would just be more concerned with the budget.
Or I would say to myself, why are we spending money on a girl like when we can just use that for something else?
I wouldn't mind. I mean, if it was like $100 a month and that was your thing and you wanted to do it, fine. Yeah. But if you're spending $300-$400 a month on it, we're gonna have a conversation.
Yeah, I think the vast majority of people would say that they're cheating. But would you even, and again, to go back to the very beginning of it, would you even be with somebody that like was doing this already? I don't think that type of person would be someone you'd be interested in. And when I say that type of person, there is a very specific type of person.
Yeah, it's usually like a guy who can't really get a girl.
Yes. I don't know one of my friends that have, unless they're lying to me, obviously they would be, but like I don't know any of my friends that are going out of their way like, how badly do you want to see tits? Like I don't care to see someone's girl's tits. I think it's cool to see
someone's tits that you know.
No, but I'm saying as a guy, like that
to
go pay though, like I wouldn't pay the subscription price just to go see some girl's titties.
Because you've seen so many titties.
Oh,
Devin.
Okay, but exactly.
But like,
so what you're saying is
like
I'm
cereal
so, okay. Like cereal.
Just pour in another bowl.
But so then I'd be a prime candidate for a lot of girls then because that would be off my radar.
It would be off.
Which is why you go for the experience, man, because they're not settling with little peasant subscriptions to OnlyFans girls.
What I think is crazy is you literally like only have sex for work. Like it is fucking work for you. Like in the time that I've known you, 6 months that I've known you, you've had sex like once outside of that. for pleasure, right? And obviously I'm having sex for pleasure over here, but like girls don't want to date you, or not girls don't want to date you, but a lot of girls are turned off by what you do just by virtue of the fact that this is your job. And it's like you look at sex way completely different than like 99% of the guys that I know
that don't do what I do.
Yeah. It's crazy. It just blows my mind that people are that like narrow-minded that they won't just take a step back. Like, I guess, do you feel like there's nothing you could do to try to convince someone that what you're doing is okay? They need to inherently accept it, because otherwise they're going to resent you forever.
Well, it's very similar to what you're saying about being okay with the whole like a guy being subscribed to an OnlyFans girl and you don't perceiving it as cheating and all these other things. Being open to, going into a little secondary relationship with somebody that has another relationship open, like all those different variables. You just have to be that type of person that's okay with whatever it is that you're indulging, with relationships. So I think that's the big thing too, is just how many girls are, one, confident, and then two, even interested in being with somebody. And then also not just being with someone like myself, but also to the degree in which nature of people knowing me. Yeah. I'm not just a porn star. I don't even consider myself that.
I do.
But someone like that's just, a small little one that has a small little Instagram and they do all their scenes here. Like, I'm publicized in a way where it's there. It's in your face. So I think that heightens it too. It's no different than a girl that's a stripper, but she could do it secretly where no one knows because she can go to the club every single weekend and hide that. So I think that's the big thing too, is it's not such a secret. If I wanted
it's like
it to be,
they couldn't hide it from their family.
No.
If they're dating you.
Mm-hmm. So I think it just comes down to, like you said, like what changed your mold of feeling the okay of stretching your horizon on the monogamous side of things to now being a lot more open to different types of dynamics. Is that, I wouldn't say experience, because it's not like you've done a ton of that. Is it just you grew up and you have a different mindset on what those things look like and what you're okay with? Because there's certain things that you've talked about where I'm like, maybe you're too lenient on that idea, and depending on who the person is and the conversation being had, those are the types of people that will push that boundary more, because you are so like lenient to, oh yeah, that doesn't bother me, so do they push for more with that? But what has been the big change for you in the narrow-minded to the open mind?
I think Stephen dying and knowing that I don't ever want to get married again and like have that, normal kind of relationship. After I got divorced from my first husband, I almost felt a little bit of the same, where I was like, I don't know what life has in store for me. Like, I don't subscribe to, because the whole reason why I got married that first time, and I've said this a bunch, I just subscribe to, this is what society says you need to do. You grow up, you are 21 or over, and you try to find someone to get fucking married, and then you have kids. And I just believed this lie that was perpetuated to me and every single little girl out there, to be in the big white dress and have the big wedding. And we were talking today, I spent $25,000 on my wedding, my first. I called a big party because that's all it was. It was a huge party. And like, then Steven and I got married with 7 people. Like, it was just, I realized that the people that tell you what to do ultimately don't have your best interest in mind. And is that really what's making you happy? So I've been on this lifelong journey of questioning ideals that are spoon-fed to me to believe my whole life. And after Steven's passing, and now me going into this sexual exploration era that I'm in, that I love, and I just feel like so many women are so shamed out of having this for themselves, and figuring out what makes them tick sexually and how they feel good and just what they want. Like, I like, people tell me, I walk down the street and random strangers are like, you're glowing. And I'm like, yeah, because I'm happy. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I am happy inside out. I'm exploring my femininity in ways that I never thought were possible, and it's amazing.
Well, and the good thing about the exploring aspect is once you try it, you can tell yourself, is this something that I want to continue to do? Some people won't even try because society makes you believe that even trying something like that is such an outlandish, oh my God, I can't believe you would ever do that. So I think that's a big thing too. For someone like myself, a girl entertaining me, it's not about how do I make them feel, because I don't think that that's ever been an issue. It's how do they feel about other people's opinions?
Yeah.
And where is their state of mind in their current journey with that? And if you care about people's opinions, then what I do is a big issue.
For sure.
If you don't care about people's opinions, then it's not a big issue. So I've had a lot of situations where the entertainment's been there and it has nothing to do with that, because we also live in a generation where you can be with someone who doesn't do what I do but is cheating on you behind your back every single night, or you could be with someone like me who's being open about exactly what I do, doesn't go out and do those things on the side, and is making money, and you know exactly what he's doing. So pick your poison. Like, which one is worse, right? Would you rather have to tell all these people that said Johnny was the perfect candidate, that he's been cheating on you for the last 2 months straight, or would you tell him Devin's the perfect candidate who on paper looks like the criminal, but yet he's treating me in all the perfect ways that I should be treated outside of the norms of the monogamous nature, or whatever you're conditioned to believe as a kid, or however you were raised, that's just not ethical.
So it's just more about letting go of what you were told to believe, what society tells you to believe, and what other people think. And like, that is just the most freeing feeling in the world, right? Because you're owning who you are, what you are. I'm owning who I am and what I am. And ain't nobody could tell you anything different, right? So that's hard, because you're not relying on you're relying on someone else to kind of be better in order to meet you where you're at with your level of comfort with your sexuality. And I wish that more people could get to that place, because that is where a lot of cheating comes from. That is where crazy shit happens, because people have these repressed desires. I think so many more people would be poly if ethical non-monogamy was a little bit more well accepted, because we're set up to be this: you get married, you only get insurance if you're married, like everything hinges on you being married or not. Can you call the hospital? Are you married? But if and when there's a time that's more widely accepted, I think that people aren't really meant to be just with one person. I don't think that one person can 100% fulfill your needs.
Well, I mean, that's why cheating happens all the time.
Yeah. But also, like, other friend groups. Like, it's not just about sexual, it's about emotional comfort, right? Like, I get so much out of my best friends that I probably could never get from a man in a relationship. So if those went away, I would need to be fulfilled in those. My cups would need to be poured into in different ways from different people if I lost them.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. It doesn't have to just be about sex. I always kind of thought about polyamory as just sex. Like, people need more sex, so they want to fuck more people. But it's so much more than that. I'm learning so much more. It's much more emotionally based and grounded than...
Well, I think that's another reason, as I've gotten older, that the sex part of it is not enough for me, because once that interaction's done and you're fulfilled sexually and you go your separate ways, as you get older, that emotional connection becomes more valuable. And the more you don't have that, I think that's where I look at it differently than I used to. I could have sex with someone, be transactional, and be proud of myself. Now I just looked at it like I could have just never done that.
I watched a movie last night with Jason Bateman. He's one of my favorite actors. And there's this part where he's sitting with a therapist, and the therapist is criticizing him for being superficial. And he's like, maybe you just need to get with a more homely woman. And he's like, inner beauty, it never ages. And he's like, you're saying that because your wife's ugly as fuck. It was really funny. So, okay, I'm going to get into another question from my list. Excuse me. Do you think that being in this transactional sex world, it has changed the way you even approach non-transactional with, as far as like emotions? Like, do you feel like there's always a part of you that's kind of performing, or do you feel like it's a total flip of the switch?
Well, of recent, it hasn't happened at all. So I think that's why I had that boundary, so that I can turn them on and off. I don't, when it's one way, it's one way specifically. When it's the other way and the camera's not there, I know.
So there's a switch.
There is a switch, but I'm not having it enough to even know what that off switch looks like.
Okay.
It's always on, right? So I couldn't give you an overall feel of recent, because of recent, it's been the lights are on.
Okay.
And not the other way around, versus, being able to differentiate that. I think if I was in a relationship right now, I can have a better description of how that feels like in those senses, but I'm not having sex with somebody off camera consistently enough right now. I mean, it's been months since that's happened, and it was just one time. So, I don't really have
I just remembered her name. That chick, because before we started filming this episode, we were adding up your body count for the year, and there was one non-working
Yeah, it was just
body.
one.
And I was like, what was her name? And it was before we started the episode, and it just hit me right now. I'm not going to say it on air, but it starts with an L and ends with an
well,
N.
that's why. But that's why I say, like, you've had more sex than me, and it's all been transactional because nothing's led to anything, right? And remember, you're new to this, okay? Like,
I've had more sex in the past 2 years, well, a year, than I had sex my entire time before I met Steven.
And one of the big things that you said in this whole transactional thing is it's getting old for you. Right. And now, would you say it's old because you've had less good interaction sexually, or because you've had consistent interactions with people that had no feelings attached? Which one outweighs the other?
A little bit of both.
No. Which one? if you had to pick between the two, and you said
mostly because the sex isn't good.
Okay, so if you were, let's say, 5 guys, 5 guys. Anyways, let's say you had 5 guys and they were all consistently 8 to 10, as far as 8 out of 10, like consistently. Okay? Sex wise, 8 to 10, somewhere in that range every time. But there was no emotional connection. Do you feel like you'd be having the emotions you've had in waves with me about things?
I don't know if I could juggle 5 guys. This is a hard scenario.
Like, oh, you mean 5 separately?
Yeah.
That's easy.
No.
I was doing that when I was in a relationship. Shit. This is what I want to be. That was when I was that was when I was good.
I like juggling 2 is a lot for me. It's because I'm busy. You
make yourself busy.
I do.
Realistically, you could be fucking doing nothing.
You're right.
You could be slanging and banging a dude every fucking night. You could have one for every day of the week.
I could.
You'd be like, Tuesday's
but
coming over.
My pussy would be sore. My shit gets sore.
Well,
I got
it's a good
box.
thing. It's a good. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, if I had enough room, well, I do have enough room because it's really that basic. But if I had the time to show you how this motherfucker masturbates. Maybe we'll do an episode one day and we'll show you how it gets done. Which is why you could do 7 times. But if you were just getting fucking racked 7 times a day, I don't think you'd be using that fucking wand of yours.
Be good.
No, that wand would be locked away.
We'll give you a visual representation of that at a later time, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know where we were. Oh, 5 guys. Okay, let's say 3. I had 3 guys in rotation that were 8 to 10 sex. Would I still be looking for an emotional connection?
Which one has played its course more? Because obviously you haven't had enough.
Well, this is a hypothetical that really isn't true. Because
it is. It's current because right now the sex isn't that great. So I would say that the emotional thing's more of a wear and tear than the sex part because you haven't had enough good sex.
Yeah.
But if it was that way.
Well, I would say out of every 5 guys that I have sex with, probably 1 is good. And I have not had sex with 10 people yet. So it has been 1 or 2 that are good. No, just 1. I think 1.
Okay, so with the experience you've had, the up and down of inconsistency sexually, but the consistency of no emotion with any of these people, do you feel like your opinion has changed over time already because of being
I think I needed to go through this phase.
To feel it.
Yeah, because I wasn't ready to be anywhere emotionally. And like, I feel like, I know you poke fun at me for kind of changing my mind and like whatever, but what I'm doing is really and truly staying true to what my heart desires. And if in one moment I really have emotional capacity and I want to have that connection, I'm allowing it. But I might regress and take a step back. And I've come to a point where I've decided that that's okay, that I might flip-flop because being a widow, there's no rule book. Like, it's so difficult, going from sharing my life with the person who I thought I was going to spend the rest of it to now I have to reintroduce myself emotionally, open up that window of your heart again.
I think where people are big on the transaction, and I speak to more women, obviously, so this would be coming from a woman's mouth, not from a man. But when it comes to why girls prevent or why they choose not to do the transactional like you are, I would say a lot of girls listening would be like, damn, I would never be brave enough to fuck that many guys like she has, right? And I think a lot of
let's talk about my body count, because we're making it sound like I have so much fucking sex.
Well, I mean, I guess that depends. There's some girls out there that are 30 years old and they've only had sex with 5 men total.
Okay, so leading up to before, I've had sex with about... This year.
There's a lot of pause in this.
I know. 2025. Well, at first I was going to give the whole number since Steven died.
Okay,
I'm just going to give this
How much before Steven died? Like
8.
before
Steven was
Steven?
number 8.
Okay, Steven was 8.
And now I'm at
Okay,
9
and then
total.
Okay, since Steven, how many?
9.
Only one?
No, 9 more.
9 more, yeah. Elaborate. Not just, he's not 9. 9 more.
9 more.
So pretty much the
So we're
amount
at
of time,
17.
the amount of time that you lived up until Steven, you've had more in this past
I had
year.
8 sex with 8 people when I was 34 years old. Yes.
And then you've already had 9.
I've had
9.
9
So
in the
17.
past 2 years.
So 17. Now, to a lot of dudes, 17 would be a high body count. That would be a high number.
Good for me.
You know what I'm saying?
Good for me.
So, okay, so in those 9 instances, you've also, because prior to that, it was like with just strictly boyfriends, right?
Yeah, and
so it's also a different approach when your 9 or 8 prior were all like significantly leading into relationships of some nature,
sure.
and these other 9, none of them were ever leading that. So, what do you think's the huge distinction?
So I since Steven died, like I'm way older, right? Like I'm mature. When Steven and I got together, I was 26 years old. And my worldview is so different, right? What I want out of life is so different. Like my main purpose in life now is joy, is pleasure, is happiness. And sex is one of those ways to get there. And I decided like we got to explore Steven's kinks while he was alive, but we never explored my kinks. He was
so that's kind of what you're doing now.
Yeah, like there was things I knew I wanted to explore, and then as I've been meeting and introducing myself romantically or sexually to other men, I've realized that I didn't even know that was a thing, but now I like this thing.
Okay, so what I was saying prior to this, I got lost.
We got
lost. Because I still want to get your feedback, but most women wouldn't have even partook in the 9 because a lot of girls say that that's energy giving to somebody else and having to exchange the energies. And so do you ever feel like when you're going into these encounters with someone that they're not putting negative energy into you, even if the interaction wasn't what you wanted, or even just entertaining someone sexually? I feel like a lot of women say to me in reference to that is like, whoever you have sex with, you're exchanging energies, right? And so...
Yeah, Steven used to have a cupcake analogy. And it was like... mean? It was so, now that I'm thinking about it, Steven, this is so like misogynistic and old worldly that the woman is a prize. It was that you're like a cupcake and every man that has sex with you takes a bite out of that cupcake. And once you find the person you're supposed to be with, you still want to have some of that cupcake left. But I think that's where society holds this worldview that a woman's vagina is this coveted thing that can only be taken by the man that wants her. And it's like, but the man gets to try many hers before he gets it. Like, I think sex is an empowering thing. I learn more about myself every time I have sex with someone. I am so physically confident and emotionally confident that I won't let someone ruin my energy. And like, I'm super...
Even if in that interaction, the energy's off.
Yeah, like I even told that one guy, like, we're not having sex. Like, to be strong, like strong-willed about your boundaries, about what you want and what you don't want. And if this interaction isn't okay, to be like, hey, like, I'm not feeling this. Like, we're not going to have sex. Like a weaker me would have just had sex with him because we were already fucking there.
But what if the energy was good up until that point and then it was off after you already exchanged it?
I mean,
you just kind of just wash it?
Yeah, but I also feel like that's like the resiliency factor, right? Is even if you get bumped off course, how quickly can you go back onto your normal pattern of behavior? Yeah, your baseline.
Yeah, that's fair. Because I guess I can understand the energy, but I guess also too in that sense is how do you know something unless you don't put the time and effort into trying things that, yeah, I think that in life you have to try things knowing that sometimes the energy or the expectation that you're looking for, the overall result is going to fail you. Right? I mean, that's part of life, right?
Yeah.
So you can't go, oh, well, the energy was off, so I'm just not going to fuck this person. I'm just asking because most women use the whole energy.
No, and a lot of women wouldn't have been as sexually explorative as I have, and not like meaning the number, but just like putting myself out there, right? Especially after, their husband died or whatever. But I am just like, this is what life is about. It's about living. And every time I'm in one of these experiences, I learn so much. And I wouldn't let's say I'm in Colorado right now, but I started in California. I wouldn't have got to Colorado if I didn't have all those experiences along the way to get me there. So now I'm at a point where I do want to emotionally date, where I am looking at things differently and who I invest my energy into. It's because I'm ready to it because I've gone all this way.
Yeah, because even for me now, like I said, I've had encounters where it didn't lead to anything. Not because the energy even between us was off. I just wasn't attracted to that person. So I think over time, when you go through experiences, you know how to facilitate. Maybe as you're younger, because I also look at it like if everything's an energy thing, then you get to a point where you finally meet one person, the energy's there. Well, you didn't even have an experience to know what energy was supposed to be good for you, anyways. You've only had one good energy experience
Right,
because
right.
you didn't try any other instances to put that. So I think that also plays a factor. But I was just curious because I feel like some people would refrain from putting themselves in the environments you're in because of, again, the norms of how are you labeled as a woman. The higher your body count is, you're a whore, you're this, you're that, you're all these things, right? And then also just the energy exchanging, and I guess everyone's different on how they facilitate that. So if your mindset is exactly what you said, then you're going into it knowing how to facilitate if the energy's off or whatever to save yourself from the encounter.
Yeah, and I don't really give a shit about what anybody thinks about me or
Well,
my
that
journey.
I think that was one of the big things we were saying earlier, right? Is people's opinions. I mean, everyone limits themselves on how far they can grow, how great the relationships are, or whatever it is, because 90% of people are reflecting their decisions based off of what are people going to think about me.
I mean, I walked in your house and I was like, I'm going to tell the internet that I have a hooker today
Well,
on the podcast. Like, that is how little I care about what anybody thinks. And I know I believe it was last episode or episode before that, I was like, I want to be a role model. And now I'm like, I have a hooker. But I still think those two go hand in hand. Be of age
Okay,
and
but
of
real quick,
consent.
is it because society tells us that if someone does something like that they're not an inspiration or someone
Right.
to look up
Right.
to
Like
in
you
that
pay for
sense?
services all day long. Why can't it be a sexual service?
Yeah.
Why you pay for a massage? You pay compensation for compassion in many ways. Therapy, massage, hair care, things that are caring for you as an individual. So why is getting sexual care that much different? It's really not. It's just the stigma that we have been told is placed upon it. So I think someone who is fully in charge of their actions and their behaviors and owns them is way more of a role model than somebody who hides
Well, I would
behind
think
it.
most people that are getting inspired by people, it's because they're a facade of like all these perfection things that are really just basic. They've never even actually learned anything in life. If you go by the mold of what everyone idolizes down a list, it's like a lot of things where they would never even go into those extensive things to learn about themselves because they're so square.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing to look at too, is like you could still be an inspiration on so many different aspects. And I think we live in a day and age where the transparency is the inspiration. Like if you could be honest with yourself about all the different things you've done, good, bad, ugly, whatever, to me, more people are going to relate to you than anything because everyone in life makes mistakes, right? So I think sometimes we put the pedestal of perfection as if that's the way that we're supposed to live our life, when I feel like all my growth aspect of things have been in the times where I was the shittiest and had to come out of them and grow as a person. So those are where I think that's why I always related to my therapist being like a recovering drug addict, because I'm like, you have to go to that place to get yourself out of it. Now you can work with people and get them through problems. Like when we had Kira on here, same thing. It's like her story is as an inspiration because you view her in one light, not knowing she went down this crazy deep hole and was able to get herself out of it. To me, that's more of an inspiration and someone I would upheld. Yeah, she did all these drugs and everything else, but who she is now versus someone who never experienced that, and then they're just getting praised all along the way. Those hardships, I feel like, really connect you with the vast majority of people in life.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know if we really hit the nail on the head with our transactional topic of today, but I feel like we had a great conversation
Well,
nonetheless.
I mean, no, I think I think we did because
Yeah.
a lot of the conversations we were having based around it were the transactional natures to things, and I do feel like we live in a world now where a lot of it is transactional. Most encounters that way. I think social media has made it where most people are more interested in the transactional thing because if it's not what they want, they just go back to finding something else, and
Yeah.
it's easy to turn the catalog and move on to the next. So even in relationships, the minute something fails or that it's off, you can go right to the internet and service yourself however you want and make it very transactional and do all those things. So I do think that we also live in a day and age now where if it doesn't suit someone, they're on to the next
Yeah.
quickly. So it becomes transactional. So I feel like we covered our basis within our own experiences and then the outside perspective to things within the transactional side. You don't have any more other questions?
I think we're good.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
All right. If you think
I'm
we're
losing
good.
my voice.
You're always losing your voice.
I don't know.
But it was a fun one. I like to have these fun ones where
It
we
was fun.
laugh and do all the things and all that. I didn't expect that we would have a talk about transactional sex and it would go this far. So
Yeah.
I feel like that's the joy of our podcast is we have one thing and it just takes us into.
You never know where we will go.
We just go into these worlds.
Devin was deep throating the mic.
You did too. Have you seen that girl on Instagram? You've liked some of her stuff. She has a really big mouth.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Big eyes, big mouth.
Yeah. I was going down a rabbit hole with hers, and she's funny as fuck.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah, she would definitely be able to eat this whole mic.
Yeah.
I don't know her name, but shout out to you with
I
big
think
mouth.
it's Sarah O'Brien. She makes her boyfriend do like
All the little
the
challenges.
trends. Oh, she's fucking hilarious. Her mouth is like ear to ear.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah.
Like she could probably like swallow 5 dicks.
Yeah.
Like I would want to know how many dicks she could fit in her mouth.
I bet she could fit 2 packs of hot dogs.
I'm surprised she hasn't tried it by now.
Not Sarah. Oh, I don't have my phone. We will tag her. I think it's Sarah. I hope it's Sarah.
I don't remember.
Anyways, this has been the Tell No Lies podcast. Ashley Contorno and Devin Physique. TellNoLiesPod.com and Tell No Lies podcast everywhere else. Thank you.
Until next time, guys. Peace.
Bye.